So today we're going to be talking about special education eligibility. But before I get into it, I'm going to give you a pretest. And I just want you to fill this out to the best of your ability because I guarantee you don't know any of the answers on it. So just try your best and let me know when you're ready. Perfect. So today we're going to be talking about special education eligibility, and our learning objective is that you should be able to recognize and take good notes on special education eligibility by using self-monitoring strategies during the note-taking process of our presentation. Okay, so basically special education is important because it helps educators like me and you have a good understanding of students' needs and understandings of their disability. Even if you don't plan on becoming a special education teacher, you may have a child with exceptionalities in your classroom, and it's always good to understand their needs. Okay? So, note-taking. Note-taking is a great way to collect your thoughts and collect what the teacher says during a lesson or presentation. So, for me, this is how I would take notes. Just simple bullet points of important information that you're going to learn in the presentation or the lesson. So this is how I would do it, just simple bullet points. Would you like to do it? Okay. So we're going to go on to slide 1, and we're just going to talk about it, and then I will show you how to take proper notes. So the first slide is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. So IDEA is the law for special education in the nation. What is IDEA?
Individuals with Disabilities Education Act.
Great. So it basically means that this is like the bar set for how a child with disabilities would get their proper education in school. Okay, so even if a child has a diagnosed disability, and it doesn't guarantee that they will qualify. So sometimes children don't qualify, and that is sad. So on this slide, what I would do for notes is I would probably write down IDEA, and then I would probably write down what the actual definition of it is, and then what it means. So just basic little tidbits of information. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so determining eligibility. The school district has to do 2 steps when determining if a child needs special education. How many steps?
2.
Okay. Step 1 is educational evaluation, and step 2 is the eligibility determination. So, in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, section 300.306A states, General, upon completion of the administration of assessments and other evaluation measures, 1, a group of qualified professionals and the parent of a child determines whether the child is a child with disability, as defined in section 300.08 in accordance with the paragraph C of this section and the child needs of the child. And 2, the public agency provides a copy of the evaluation report and the documentation of determination eligibility at no cost to the parent. So on this slide, what do you think would be some good bullet points to write down? Great, awesome. So the section that it's in and how many steps? How many steps did we talk about before?
2 steps.
Perfect. And what were those steps?
Educational evaluation and eligibility determination.
Perfect. So the next slide. So out of those 2 steps, the first one we're going to talk about is the educational evaluation. So the educational evaluation, students are tested to determine their eligibility. So it could be a doctor's test, it could be a test from the school psychologist, it could be a test from the parent's psychologist or someone that the child sees, or their doctor outside of the school. So what happens to the students to determine their eligibility?
They're tested.
Perfect. Anyone can recommend that a child gets tested, but the school needs parent permission to do the testing. So a teacher can, a fellow parent of another student, someone in the school can recommend that the child gets their testing. So that's that. Testing takes place in a quiet place with minimum distractions. The testing is one-on-one in a private room. How do they do the testing?
In a quiet place with minimum distractions.
Perfect. So how are we doing on the notes?
Good.
Awesome. The next slide talks about CSE meeting to discuss IEP. So after students are tested, there's a meeting held to discuss their eligibility. So what happens after the students are tested?
A meeting held to discuss the eligibility.
Perfect. In the meeting, they discuss goals and accommodations needed for the child to succeed in school. So after the child has their test, so certain accommodations can be met. So children with exceptionalities, and in this case, they call them disabilities, they could be a wide range of things. They could have their own tutor with them all at all times. They could be in a separate classroom where they learn, or there's multiple other things. So it's a big range because there are 13 different types of disability categories under IDEA. Okay? So in this meeting, students and their parents can be told that they are getting denied services, which can end very badly, which is very heartbreaking because if a student needs help, they need help. But some meetings can go very well and be planned for students to succeed. So if the services are denied or cut, it can't be cut if a child is getting good grades. Child has stay put rights, which means services stay in place until the challenge is settled. Charter schools cannot deny any children's IEPs to children with disabilities. They must provide for them. What happens at charter schools?
They cannot deny children IEPs.
Perfect. RTI, or response to intervention, cannot be used to delay services. Funding is not an adequate excuse to deny funding. So some schools, they say they don't have funding to help these students, but these students, they still can't be denied for general education classes. So those need to be provided for them at the bare minimum if they can't get additional help or with their disability. So there are 13 disability categories under IDEA. Let's say them together, okay? Right after me. So one is specific learning disability, or SLD.
Specific learning disability, or SLD.
Second one is autism spectrum disorder, or ASD.
Autism spectrum disorder, ASD.
3, emotional disturbance.
Emotional disturbance.
4, other health impairments.
Other health impairments.
5, speech language impairment.
Language impairment.
6, visual impairment, including blindness.
Visual impairment, including blindness.
7, deafness.
7, deafness.
8, hearing impairment.
Hearing impairment.
9, deaf blindness.
Deaf blindness.
10, orthopedic impairment.
Orthopedic impairment.
11, intellectual disability.
Intellectual disability.
12, traumatic brain injury.
Traumatic brain injury.
And 13, multiple disabilities.
13, multiple disabilities.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a post-test now, if you would like to take your post-test. And before you start, I just want to do a brief overview of what we learned today. So today we learned about how to take notes when we were discussing Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. So it's important because, as I said before the lesson started, even if you don't plan on being a special education teacher, you will come in contact with special education students and students with exceptionalities, and they will be in your classroom. Okay? So you could take your post-test, and thank you.